15-2 and bigger the rest. All 13 going to post for this curtain raiser. Let's get the call with Jerry Hammond.
White flag is raised, and that off in the opener. Over 2 miles, the Galmont Hotel and the Galway Bay Hotel 4-year-old novice hurdle. 9 flights to jump, a relatively short run to the first. And spaced across the flight, Feud in the air. Pigeon House stepped badly at that first flight. Did well to survive the error. As Mackinamillion and Feud are followed at the bend by Sysko on the inside. As they come down the hill, Hutton Glen is also in the firing line, followed by Bright Legend. Heading down the hill, Mackinamillion, followed by Hutton Glen, Feud. Pigeon House, Sysko on the inside, the red body jacket, followed by Bright Legend, and then Mordor and Eagle's Quest, St Anthony's Corner, Palamon, Nipper's Rainbow, Celtic Crossing, trailing the field as they come towards the second flight is Bobby singing the blues. Mackinamillion jumped it well and losing on the run into the straight the 10 Nipper's Rainbow at that second flight. As they come to number 3, Mackinamillion, followed by Pigeon House, who's moved into second place ahead of Hutton Glen, then Feud, Sysko on the inside, followed by Bright Legend, Eagle's Quest, Mordor, and then St Anthony's Corner, followed by Bobby singing the blues, Palamon and Celtic Crossing. Coming up to pass the winning post, they're on their way towards the fourth flight past the stands. Walking away okay is Kevin Sexton. It's Mackinamillion, the leader, from Pigeon House, Hutton Glen, followed by Feud, Sysko over just fifth, and the latest one to go is St Anthony's Corner. As they go towards the halfway stage, not up as of yet, Robbie Gagan. As Mackinamillion reaches halfway, leading 2.5 lengths. Pigeon House, then Hutton Glen, Feud, Sysko next, followed by Bright Legend, then Eagle's Quest. Bobby singing the blues and Celtic Crossing, a gap to Palamon. And Mordor has dropped right away as they race to the next flight, taking them up towards the final 7 furlongs. And it is Mackinamillion and Keith Donoghue over the next from Pigeon House, and Jack Kennedy second, followed then by Hutton Glen. Dad O'Keefe on the inside, almost joined for third by Feud and Danny Mullins. And then Sysko and Paul Townend, and on the inside is Eagle's Quest, and then Bright Legend. As they complete a circuit, going to the third and last flight up the back straight. And as they do so, it is Mackinamillion over first from Pigeon House, followed by Feud and Hutton Glen and Sysko next as they pass the 5, beginning the good run towards the second last flight. In the Galmont Hotel and the Galway Bay Hotel 4-year-old novice hurdle, Mackinamillion leads the length. Pigeon House has closed the gap, followed after a break of 2 lengths Hutton Glen, then Feud, Eagle's Quest and Sysko next on the outside. Less than half a mile to go. They're heading down into the dip with 2 flights left. Mackinamillion now nudged along in front. Leads the noseband at Pigeon House, then Feud, who's right on their heels in third, and then Hutton Glen. Sysko now being wound up to try and stay on the outside of Eagle's Quest. At the second last, Mackinamillion backed off it. Pigeon House within a half length, closing his Feud on the outside. Breaking away then from Sysko, and then Eagle's Quest and Mordor. In they come for the final flight, and round the outside it is Feud, laying it down to both Mackinamillion and Pigeon House. The final flight, Feud's over in front from Pigeon House, Mackinamillion, Mordor from a long, long way back. It's going late, and then Sysko and Eagle's Quest, but Feud has quickly settled the opener, is pulling away from Mordor as Feud stays on a roll for Danny Mullins and Richard O'Brien. Second is Mordor, well cleared of Pigeon House, and Sysko fourth.
Feud is the first winner of the 2024 festival here at Galway, and he's won this opening novice hurdle with real authority for Danny Mullins, Richard O'Brien and the Lochheim partnership, following up that victory at Listowel last month. A race where we had a couple of early casualties. The eventual winner, though, Lisa, travelling away very nicely behind the leaders. Didn't jump that hurdle particularly well, but he was quickly back on the bridle on the landing side. And I know you liked him, you were saying beforehand, when he won at Listowel. Has he taken it to another level?
Yeah, he definitely has, Gary. I was impressed with him when he won in Listowel. He's jumped much, much better today. That's the 3 out was the only mistake that he actually made. He's improved significantly on his jumping, and you can see he's a horse with loads of ability. He stalked Pigeon House in behind Jack Kennedy. Danny Mullins had loads left at this stage, and he was just waiting and biding his time. In behind with the blue sleeves and the white and blue body is actually Sam Ewing on Mordor, who never travelled in the early stages of the race, but makes serious inroads from the back of the second last as he climbs up the hill, and he's really found an extra leg when he's come home really strongly. But just look at Danny Mullins, he's just going through the motions at this stage, and he's hoping he's going to meet the last on a good stride and keep the momentum going, and he does that.
Yes, Pigeon House, who made a bad mistake at the very first hurdle, didn't have any more to offer from that point than Mordor, who was out the back as they went away from the stands. It's really come home with a rattle. You were just saying to me there, Lisa, maybe headgear mightn't be a bad idea for him going forward.
No, potentially not, Gary. Look, he struggled to lie up early on, and he's a horse that's won on the flat the last day. Maybe the likes of headgear will help him travel a little bit during the early stages of the race. But just as we picked them up here, as they turn around the home bend heading towards the last, Danny Mullins is just easily going through the motions. He doesn't even have to get too serious with this horse. As I said, he's improved an awful lot with his jumping since the last day in Listowel, and he's definitely taken it to a new level, Gary, because he'd much stronger opposition today. Danny Mullins is able to afford to have a look at the big screen. He gives him a tap to keep him up to his work, and look, he's won with plenty in hand yet again.
So there is Feud, punched out by Danny Mullins to land the opening race at this year's rather raucous Galway festival. Mordor finishing second. Thoughts on Sysko's run, Lisa?
Yeah, look, he's been travelled quite strongly, Gary. I thought he jumped okay, and he travelled coming down at the top of the dip. Actually, he looked as if he was going to travel really well.